Trucks Tales. Woo! So this is a truck's tale that was kind of unique to me. It's one that I did not expect. So I run, obstacle course races with my family. And a few years back, I was running one at AT&T Park because I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I get a call from a guy who tells me he's a buddy of mine. He says, hey, I got this friend I'd love you to meet. He's going to be in your area on a specific weekend. I'm like, oh yeah, who is it? He says, the guy's name is Joe DeCina. Joe actually he's a creator of the Spartan Race, has a podcast called Spartan Up Podcast. I'm like, really? I said, I'm actually running in that Spartan race a day before. He goes, yeah, well, it's perfect. Let me connect you guys and we'll get you guys in the podcast. I'm like, let's do it. So I remember I drive out and meet this guy and he just a regular dude, which I thought was incredibly cool because we do this podcast literally in the top level of some auto body shop, just all tucked away, something just super basic. The guy shows up, regular dude, not dressed special, has his camera lady with him. She's an awesome lady also. And so we just do this podcast. We kind of roll out, and it's a really cool podcast. I'll put a link to it where you can find it. So we did the whole podcast, and afterwards, we were connecting, and I ended up driving him to his hotel somewhere. But here's where I think that I learned some of the most important lessons just from interacting with this guy. After the fact, whenever we had this conversation, he was asking me some questions about my life story, and he actually went on to write an article about me in Inc. magazine, which I was incredibly humbled by, and I'm so grateful for. But then here's what was funny is at one point we had an email correspondence. He had sent me something or had been in a group email and had sent something to me, and I responded back. And he responded back to whatever it was, but what he added was, just so you know, the email signature you have, pretty much in simple words says it kind of sucks. It needs to be better because that's the first thing people see about you. Your brand matters. And I was like, man, in that moment, you could have been like, it's all, abrasive and, it's my signature and you can kind of get bothered. But I was like, you know what? This is a person who's achieved greatness in their life. He's doing a great thing. He's a solid human being and he got to a high level. That's not by accident. See, greatness leaves clues. And this was him dropping a little clue for me. Now, it wasn't that my signature needed to be better, but it's that everything speaks. Literally everything about you. How you walk, how you talk, what you wear, what you say. Everything speaks about your character, your personality, and for me, being an entrepreneur and sharing what I do with the world and coaching people, everything speaks. The way you see things, the way I talk, how I carry myself, and everything has to be polished. And so for me, I wrote back, said thank you. And at that moment, I went and created an entirely brand new email signature because here's the next piece. If you see greatness, if you see some clue and you see what it is, just because you saw it doesn't mean it's gonna make you better. You have to swallow your pride sometimes, drop your ego, and make the change. I could have been abrasive, let my ego pop up and not done something and justify what it was, but the reality is I'm gonna listen to people who have been farther ahead of the journey that I wanna be on. If they've gone somewhere that I wanna go just in terms of just maybe it's credibility or success, I want to listen and I have no problem dropping the ego to listen. So in that moment, I made a shift. And that looks great. My signature looks amazing. And since then, I've been able to have some cool things happen just with interactions with him and seeing what he's also put out in the world, sharing my story. And I think it's incredibly humbling to see a person that's so great see something inside of me. Just like for me and the way I see myself is I love to be able to look at other people and see the things in them that nobody else sometimes sees, maybe even not themselves. There may be things you don't see in yourself, but if you have someone that can look at you a different way and see something unique, sometimes it's just that little bump you need to push you up to that next level. And for me, I realized there's something to what I'm telling, something to what I'm saying, something to what I'm sharing in the world that the world needs more. Because if somebody so great sees something so great in me, there's something to be made from that. So in your life, when you have these situations, I guess what it is put yourself out there, experience new things. And when you find someone who is great or they're above where you want to go and they've kind of been that path already and kind of walked that trail, look for the clues because greatness does leave clues. And when you see them, pick them up and use them. And then make sure you trust your hustle to go from dreaming to doing in your life.